Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our long-awaited...
And I mean long-awaited.
Indeed. Episode 2 review of Season 2 of Sanditon. We are so excited to finally be together again after a long bout of illnesses here and there, her and me,
infections, coughs,
colds,
stomach bugs.
Yes. So we've had many trials and tribulations to get to this point. We have been trying to get together to review these episodes. So since, obviously, you know, the entire season has now aired,
yes,
we are going to... We didn't say we were the Sisters Sanditon, did we?
That's what happens after you've taken 12 rounds of cough syrup, dear.
We are the Sisters Sanditon, in case anyone has forgotten.
Here we are.
Oh, dear me. It's going to be one of those evenings, I think. All right, so we have all seen the entire season of episode 2. I think everyone by now has seen it. We're not going to pretend that we haven't watched it, but we have made notes while we were watching each episode. So prior to seeing the end, we made notes. So we are going to be presenting these episodes as if we don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
With our predictions, initial predictions that we made of who do you think is going to be with whom, and is this person true, is he false, and that sort of thing.
Without saying what we already know is going to happen.
Right. So we're going to pretend we don't know what's happening.
Good.
Yes.
Let's get straight into it.
Jump right into it, because it's a long one.
Season 2 opens with Charlotte.
Episode 2.
Yes.
Season 2, episode 2, yes.
Oh, this gets me every time.
I know it.
She's walking on the beach with Lennox, right?
Yes.
She apologizes, says she felt rashly, and...
Because she ran out of the room in their last meeting, and she was not in a place to meet anyone.
Yes.
You know, and of course it's fine. He's fine with it. He thinks,
He thinks she'll do well in her new job, or something. He calls it a job.
Yes.
You didn't like that, did you?
I did think it was odd that they were calling her new position a job. I think in that day, they would have called it a position. It quite reminded me of Downton Abbey, where Lady Grantham was like, a job? What is a job? What is a weekend?
Yeah.
That's what I was like, I don't think they would be saying job.
Yes.
This is even much prior to
You should have
Downton
written the
Abbey.
script down.
Downton Abbey was almost 100 years later. I think I should have, yes. I think they should have called it a position.
Well, he says she'll succeed in whatever she puts her mind to. How does he know?
I keep saying, throughout this episode, you'll see, he seems very familiar with her. Like, he knows her already after one meeting at tea, and I take offense at it.
It's almost like they've written that into the script because we didn't see them have a relationship. We're just going to write it in as if
and perhaps they're moving fast because we know there's only 6 episodes. But to me, he's a little too familiar with her.
Well, Charlotte arrives at Colbourne's, right?
Yes.
And no one is there.
Her new job.
No one answers the door, and so that seems a little bit odd to me.
Yes, and there's some music that's very foreboding and sort of dark and sad and
I don't
what
know
is
why.
happening? I was expecting someone to jump out at her or something.
Something spooky does
something
happen.
bad going to happen.
Yes. Well, anyway, she
makes her way to the back door.
She makes her way. She's late. They also cut to Esther saying she can't have a baby. God's cursed her. So they throw that in there.
Back and forth.
And let's just cut to the chase. They're invited to a mess dinner.
Yes.
Right.
So we're excited to find out what happens with that.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlotte makes her way to the back. She's in, and she meets the housekeeper, and she's, like you said, she said she's late. And, I think it's a little bit evident that Charlotte doesn't really know what she's doing.
Don't mind if I pop another cough drop, dear.
No one will mind. I think it's a little evident she doesn't really know what she's doing, right? We know she's never been a governess before. She hasn't had experience, so I think she's come a couple hours late. They expected her much earlier. And the housekeeper, oh goodness, what's her name? I can't remember.
Well, she says she's betting money on it.
Yes, they have a bet going. And
that
she's
she
got
won't
a shilling.
Last.
Yes, she's got to bet that she will last.
Yes,
the housekeeper and again, I don't know how the housekeeper thinks she's going to last. I guess Charlotte makes an excellent first impression.
She does indeed.
3 seconds that she said, I'm dropping the girls off.
Right.
I don't know.
And is this where they say, we've had a lot of governesses and none of them have ever lasted?
It's a little bit Sound of Music, reminiscent of the Sound of Music, eh?
I didn't say it.
With the governesses, yes. No one will last. The children are unruly, and yes. So anyway,
what was the nanny and
the old nanny, Fräulein Hildegard or whomever.
Yeah, they put a snake in or something.
Yes, it was a snake with a. Anyway.
It was very reminiscent of that.
Yes, it was, and it is some of what we see later on will be even more reminiscent. So anyway, yes, so she meets Colbourne in the hall, and again he says, "Oh, we expected you much earlier. You've just gotten here." And he says, "Let me introduce you to your charges." He introduces her to the young ladies. He says, "You have your work cut out for you.
Yes.
And you need to make them into young ladies."
Right. And then we see Georgiana again being rude to another man. Right?
Yes. She whispers something into his ear, which we don't know what it is. It was probably highly inappropriate, knowing Georgiana. Yes. We are not privy to
Mary chastises her and said, that's not the way to catch a husband.
And last time she says your behavior pretty much needs to change. It cost an arm and a leg to try to repair that carriage she stole.
Well, she's got plenty of money. She can pay for it.
So. Could have paid for Sanditon if she was wanting to want the money.
And it explains that her fortune will be protected if she gets married.
She will be protected.
She's rude again to Mr. Lockhart.
Yes, Mr. Lockhart approaches. Oh, I was having a great day until I saw you. She's so rude. I can't imagine why Lockhart is interested in her. To me, as we see more of their encounters, and, every time he's like, hello, and she's like, get out, get lost.
Yeah, she's basically I hate you, go die.
Basically.
There's never any,
pretty much.
It's not, you know what, you can contrast it with Bridgerton in a way. So we have Anthony and Kate, they're fighting all the time, right? But
it's that schoolboy, schoolgirl, we like each other.
Oh, you like my smile, huh? I didn't say I like your smile, that type of thing. There's sexual tension.
There's a chemistry, and there's almost methinkest thou dost protest too much. You're pretending, I hate you, when really I love you.
But here there's not that. She basically says, I hate you, leave me alone. And every time he's like, I love her.
Yes, I don't see why he's so interested in her. But... So to me, I'm already I'm not sure what's going on here.
Yes, I don't know.
A little suspect.
Then we see
strange.
Kitty. Allison. Does she remind you of anyone? Perhaps another Jane Austen
affinity
novel?
for officers? Yes. She runs down the stairs. An officer with a red coat is approaching. I tell you, her eyes get as big as saucers, that little thing.
She thinks it's the guy she likes, but it isn't. It's the other guy who is 10 times...
It's
to any person with a brain, he's 10 times cuter than the other guy anyway, which is so silly.
And, and she says, is my captain... He says he's come to invite them all to the mess dinner.
But did you notice how here again... We kind of are taking from another Austen novel where we had Colonel Brandon and Willoughby, right? Willoughby's the only one she can see, even though there's this wonderful Colonel Brandon right
what do they call it, the Florence Nightingale syndrome or something? The guy sort of technically rescued her off the beach. What's it called? I don't know.
You saved me.
Yes. So, I don't know what it is. It's something, but, in Sense and Sensibility, Willoughby rescued her and brought her home, and, Colonel Brandon's out the window at that point. Same thing.
Same thing here.
He saw her on the beach, she was fallen, and she thought, he didn't really even rescue her, but to her, he rescued her.
This whole episode 2 is a mashup of all of our favorite... Anyway, I won't go there.
Around the British novel in 80 days. It's all of them.
So, Captain Fraser is young, right?
I think he's extremely witty. He's got a very dry sense of humor, very funny, dry sense of humor, and he's like, she's like, oh, is Captain Carter, is he the one that, saved me? He's young and he's handsome. He's like, well... Yes, he's young, but it's not up to me to say whether he's handsome. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, and they make him out like he's so ugly because he has a scar.
He's got a scar. Who cares? I think he's better looking than the other guy.
Yes,
he is. And don't forget, he came and said that Colonel Lennox requests Miss Charlotte as his personal guest or something like that. He specifically requested her to attend.
Because we know he's got the hots for her.
He's so forward.
Very forward.
Doesn't even know it. Anyway.
Now, Miss Markham is a pistol, right?
Yes,
she's mean and she insults Charlotte and gives her embroidered...
And a piece of embroidery she's been working on that says spinster. She is quite rude, I tell you what.
And they make Charlotte with the servants,
and don't forget, little Leo swears. She curses. Yes, these girls are in need of a governess.
Also,
yes, for sure. Well, and yes, Miss Augusta specifically likes to say, you must go and eat your lunch with the servants.
Yes, and then even the housekeeper talks to Charlotte like she's above her, right? And
she
says,
does.
Remember, girl, I've got a shilling on you.
Remember, girl. I was like, for pity's sake, she sounds like she's talking
she's
far
in
down
a higher position.
Charlotte is still a gentleman's daughter, but here we go. We encounter this later at the mess hall dinner, and we're trying to figure out what is Charlotte's new role in society here.
But you do have to remember, the housekeeper did hold a high. I mean, look at Jane Eyre. What's the housekeeper?
That's
Fairfax.
Right. Yes.
She seems like she's kind of in a superior position to Jane. So,
but it's weird again because I'm sorry to scratch you with my fan. It is weird because Charlotte is still a gentleman's daughter, but now it's like the governess has taken precedent over her social status as was prior. So now she's like almost beneath.
Right.
Strange.
Right. Well, then we see Esther in church, right? And
she's having a very difficult time. Yes. She's in there to kind of meditate, and who knows if she's praying, and she's sort of weepy, and the Hankins comes in and start talking about, she runs out, and Miss Hankins, somehow, even though this poor little lady's an old spinster, I don't know how she knows anything about babies or marriage or anything, but she's got some kind of
inkling. She has any experience.
I should hope not. but she's got an inkling that there's some trouble there, and she,
she's sweet and kind to her.
She's very sweet and says, here, I've got a piece of information, perhaps it can help you. So she starts taking these herbs from this midwife to try to help. Well,
then we move on and we have Tom, who's poo-pooing Arthur's plans, right? And
poor
says, we don't have the money yet. And instead he suggests, to the colonel that they should form a permanent barracks here.
Yes. And so in front of the colonel, he's basically saying, we must honor Sydney's, debt or whatever. Yes. And Colonel Legs goes, Sydney? And to me, my stomach just got in knots. It just churned hearing him say Sydney's name. Somehow, I just he wasn't worthy to even say Sydney's name. I hate to say it, but I don't get a good vibe from Lennox, and just to have him say Sydney, and then Tom's like
that man.
Yes, and then Tom is like, oh, Sydney, our dear departed brother, you would have gotten along so well with him. And Arthur's like, perhaps in some things. Like, no. Yeah. Like, he knows, he couldn't hold a candle to Sydney, which is kind of what we've been saying.
Which is true.
Yes, we all agree with dear Arthur.
Yes.
And Arthur's been sort of pushed back into the background, and he's trying to be buddy-buddy. Tom is being buddy-buddy with Lennox instead, and so I kind of feel bad for Arthur.
Well, Miss Lamb and Allison go to the army camp again, and I found this part hilarious because she says, Allison says, are you sure this is appropriate? And it's been there, done that.
They've already gone into the
army camp. Nobody said a word about it being appropriate. We did. Yes, but they didn't the first time.
I'm not sure why she thinks it's inappropriate now.
I thought that was ridiculous.
Yes.
We've already done that.
And she's like, marching right into the camp is hardly aloof. Well, like we said, I don't know.
Which we said in the first episode, we don't think they would have done that anyway. The guys are sparring, right? Fraser draws blood, and once again we have Carter. Allison, or a.k.a. Lydia, right?
Looking a dog.
Wild-eyed.
And I will note that it didn't seem like Captain Carter was on an equal playing field with Fraser.
No,
Fraser's quite the soldier.
That's right. Another point for Fraser.
Yeah, I think so.
He insists that the ladies leave. He says he doesn't have a heart. Just, once again, a little bit of witty. He's, got a good sense of humor. Mm-hmm. He's just got a cold place, a cold, hard rock in it.
Yes. Very funny.
And then,
just a cold, hard rock.
Now, what is this? Something about the eating, the little girl.
Okay, so they're having a picnic. I'm sorry, you can't read my notes. They're having a picnic outside, remember? Charlotte and Augusta and Leo. They're having a little picnic. And as they're eating, Charlotte's saying, you must miss your mother,
Yes. And, you can't have something. You can't miss something.
Leo says, you can't miss something you never had. And it was really sweet and sad. And then Augusta's like, oh, of course you can. Just like Charlotte Miss Hayward misses the husband she never had. She's so mean. But that right there actually is true. Because she does miss Sydney.
Right.
And so, Augusta doesn't know anything about this.
Right.
You can just see Charlotte just
cutting her teeth, right?
It's hurting. Mm-hmm.
And then next we see Lockhart, and he's sketching Arthur sleeping on the beach.
Yes. Arthur's taking a nap. I'll tell you one thing.
Choked myself.
If I had fallen asleep, and if I had a British complexion, if I had fallen asleep on the beach, I would have been beet red as a lobster. Arthur doesn't look sunburned at all.
But in my opinion, it's like we have another love triangle here. So we have the love triangle of Charlotte and Colbourne and Lennox.
I mean,
but then we have the second love triangle of Georgiana, Arthur, and
Mr. Lockhart. Is Lockhart hitting on Arthur?
I can never tell.
Is he flirting?
Does Arthur like him? Does he like Arthur?
I don't know.
Does he like Georgiana?
He's a little bit.
I think they'd all be one big happy family myself, but. Anyway, we'll go there another time. So anyway, Arthur seems taken with Lockhart.
He's very taken with him, and Lockhart talks about that Arthur has a rare masculine beauty. I mean, it's like I say, it's a little bit, and Arthur's kind of like, someone's noticing me, because really no one notices him, except for Georgiana. And so I don't know if he's like, but then at the same time, in the same breath, he's like, will you, help my suit with Georgiana? And he's like, yes, I'm going to help you.
That's what I mean. Maybe Arthur thinks they could all be one big happy family. That's my opinion. But
this is Jane Austen. Not.
We've seen Stranger Things in some of these, right? In the first season.
Oh dear. Yes.
All right. So anyway,
so
they're gathering. They were gathering snails.
Yes.
Charlotte and the girls, and Leonore rushes into Colbourne's study for a magnifying glass, and of course
interrupts his work.
He doesn't have time. But he's not too harsh.
I don't think he was mean. He was like, here's one magnifying glass. Here you go. And she's like, do you want to examine? He's like, no, I don't have time. It's not a lot.
He again tells Charlotte that you're supposed to turn them in the young ladies, right?
Gathering snails.
He gives her the correct terminology of the
malacologist.
What's it called? Yes. But he kind of stares at her. She leaves the room, and I don't know if he's thinking all about malacology or about something else.
Some other kind of ology.
Exactly.
Femaleology.
Oh dear.
He's studying Charlotte.
On that note, on to the mess hall.
Yes, the mess hall.
Now
you go.
I insist.
So Charlotte arrives, and I have to admit, I didn't care for her ball gown. Granted, it wasn't a ball, but her gown was not quite as I would have imagined it.
The real long,
yes, her sleeves were very almost like
mine.
I just pulled this out of my closet.
That's right. You didn't have a wardrobe.
No,
person.
I didn't care for her dress personally, but however, she did look beautiful. Her hair was lovely.
They fixed it
not
this
in
time.
her eyes. Yes. Mm-hmm. And she's apprehensive. She walks in and she's having a little conversation with Georgiana. She's apprehensive because she says the last time I danced in Sanditon was with, and she can't even bring herself bring herself to speak his name. And Georgiana says with Sydney, she's like, you've got to get over it. Let go.
Out of your
have
mind.
fun.
Have a good time.
You know?
Right. There's a lot packed into this little scene of meaningful little encounters.
Yes, little conversation here and there. Mm-hmm. There's one with Lennox and her. They have a little moment, with their little dance, and he's talking about, he's almost whispering to her, which to me is a little too intimate, if you ask me.
You just don't like him.
He just rubbed me the wrong way. And he just, like I said, he just acts too familiar. Like he's just known her, and he's like taking liberties of this and that, and I don't know, but they're having a conversation.
He asks her how her new
how's
job
your new
is,
job?
right?
And she's like, oh, it's great. And she's like, oh, you doubt me. How does he? They almost make it seem like he reads her already. And it's too much.
He then tells her he'll get a battle strategy before the night is out,
which I guess is cute. But
then we see Lady D and Georgiana, and they have a little funny spat about the sugar boycott.
She's like, I take it you're not going to be boycotting the sugar with us.
Obviously, Lady D is having none of that.
No.
Right? We already saw her. Was
yes,
that in the first episode?
Yes,
I'm so confused now.
Yes, 10 spoonfuls of sugar in the teat.
Type of thing,
yes.
With the sugar.
And she says basically like, there's nothing much left in life to amuse me now or to,
You've lived a life of deprivation, right?
And, Esther's chuckling in the background.
Didn't she say something about something here reminding you of one of our favorites?
When she said that, precious little amuses me in this world, it reminded me of when Aunt Josephine says that to Anne in Anne of Green Gables.
One of our
and she
favorites.
goes, precious little amuses me, and you amuse me, Anne girl.
That's right.
That's just what it reminds me of.
Yes, she is
crotchety
kind of
old lady.
Uh-huh.
But she's funny.
Yes. Now, Arthur starts praising Lockhart to Georgiana, right? He's already formed a bad opinion of him. And she rebuffs Lockhart as usual.
Yes,
and
runs away.
She's definitely warming to you.
Which was hilarious.
Was
hilarious. Arthur's so cute, and then he's like, I know what I'm going to go do. So Arthur takes it upon himself to play matchmaker, and he runs into the other room, and he changes the place cards so that they'll sit next to each other.
Yes, and I think everybody is loving Arthur.
He's great this season.
This whole season.
He shines.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. He's sweet, he's considerate, he's smart, he's thinking of things, and he's trying to protect Tom. He's doing a lot.
Yes.
But I'm not sure, he's pushing the Lockhart thing on him so much, on Georgiana, and I just don't know if I trust him yet.
Lockhart.
No, yes, Lockhart. I don't know if I trust Lockhart yet.
Because like you said, why does he like someone that honestly hates his guts at this point?
Right.
I mean, she hasn't shown that.
I mean, I'm thinking about how Georgiana.
Maybe he's intrigued by her beauty. Maybe that's enough.
Well, don't forget.
The thrill of the catch and all of that. The man likes the chase.
That could be, but don't forget, is he a penniless artist?
Right, but she's not swooning over him like maybe all the other ladies do now. Give him a chance.
Yes, all right.
Now, Allison and Captain Carter talk, and she's all about the poet Cowper.
Cooper, my dear, Cooper. I know
it's
spelled like Cowper, but it's Cooper.
The British says, "Oh yes, he's my favorite." And
yes,
and it's obvious he doesn't even know who he is. He would have pronounced the name wrong just like I just did. Well, anyway, Charlotte, she had to sit down with the spinsters, which is so
at
strange.
Dinner. They were looking
Even though
for
her sister sits in one place, she now has to sit in another place.
All the young people sit together.
She's taken the role of a governess.
Yes.
Which is what we said. She has fallen in society.
She has fallen. So she's sitting down with good old Reverend Hankins and Miss Hankins.
Lennox apologizes for this later, and she says, it's okay, I know my place now.
As a lowly governess.
She's just very down.
She's
every scene, I feel like there's this heaviness, You know
how
they want.
Yes, but you know how she says, like, I'm trying to forge a new life. But is she? I mean, in some ways, yes, but in some ways, like you say, I just feel like she's so resigned and just depressed kind of now. Just which
maybe
I get.
Maybe as the episodes progress, we'll see her kind of come out of that.
Yes,
I know they want to show
see her sparkle again.
Yes. Try to sparkle again.
Yes, yeah. Mary.
All right, where are we? Allison is seated next to Fraser, and he says,
"Oh yes,
endure it as stoically as he can."
He's so funny.
He's funny.
He's really funny.
What ends up happening is you end up almost following them. Their journey and their story more than you
Charlotte's,
voting for Charlotte at this point. You're kind of like, ooh, what's going to happen with Fraser?
I really like him.
I like him too.
He's funny and he's a gentleman and he's,
And she says, are you mocking me? He says, I can't blame you. He's,
he's unforgivably handsome. Yeah, you want me to try to trade seats? And she goes, no.
Yeah.
You know, unthinkably handsome. Yeah, she says, are you mocking me? He's like, no, I wouldn't dream of it. He really is funny.
Him.
He's got a great wit.
Well, Lockhart says the lamb was a little tough and somewhat cold. So we see that's a play on words,
yes,
of course.
Very funny and clever.
They almost have a little flirtatious exchange.
Almost. But
so
not quite.
Maybe he sees a glimmer of hope.
Perhaps. And she's like, why don't, if it displeases you, why don't you leave it? I keep thinking it's going to surprise me.
And then he tries to impress her with the quote about Napoleon, which I thought was ridiculous. I think they'd have picked him up and thrown him out on his arm.
Which is why they were chanting, throw him out, or whatever they were saying. You know,
but instead they did nothing.
Let's remember, many of these people, including Colonel Lennox, fought Napoleon, as it comes out later, and we know he fought that man.
That was a sore spot.
Look, men died fighting Napoleon. Yeah. A lot of British soldiers died. It's not a joke.
I don't think you would say that.
I don't think it's funny. No.
And then we have the dance scene, of course. So when Allison goes off to dance, right, and we see Fraser longing after her.
Yes. Did you see that?
Already,
He's already
taken.
smitten.
Yes, he's taken with her. Charlotte dances with Lennox. I didn't really see any chemistry.
No.
He's telling her the battle strategy, right? It's obvious he likes her, but we don't really know how she's feeling, right?
Well, she's still apprehensive about anyone at this point.
Right. And it's a big contrast from the ball with Sydney, right?
Yes, the first dance in Sanditon with Sydney. Yes,
where
how they were,
spat.
Yes, but there was a chemistry there, I think.
Yes.
Even, there was that sort of chemistry, even though they were fighting.
And little Edward is playing his games. He's reminiscing about the first time
I danced with you.
He's playing with something.
I was in awe of you. I'm still in awe of you. Oh.
And something that you noticed and that you pointed out to me is, why did all the men leave after the first dance?
Yes.
They
had one dance, and then they left to go gamble.
Well, maybe there was supposed to be a span of time there that
perhaps we missed it. Perhaps. They all leave, and the ladies are just sitting there.
And then Lennox encourages Tom to gamble, and of course, basic line here, what we see is that Tom, again, has learned nothing.
Tom is still a fool.
He broke up Charlotte and Sydney, and Sydney's now dead, and he's still an idiot.
Yes. So and Arthur tries to tell him.
I don't like him at all.
Arthur tries to tell him, like, no, don't do this. And he just goes ahead and does it anyway, and he's just like, he just looks almost frantic, like nothing could stop him. Do you know what I mean? Just like,
I want to
slap him.
When they just can't control themselves.
I just wish Arthur
It's like he's at the slot machine and he just can't.
Yes,
his eyes glaze over, and he can't.
Thank goodness, sheer dumb luck, as McGonagall says in Harry Potter, he wins.
Yes.
And he's like, what would have happened if I would have lost? He's like, oh, you've owed everyone double. And he was just like,
yeah. And you think he'd learn then, right there and there, right? All right, Georgiana and Lockhart, she said the toast was to her benefit.
She goes and sees him afterwards. Oh,
right.
He goes, don't flatter yourself.
It wasn't for you.
So now he's playing hard to get. He's trying a new strategy, perhaps. I don't know.
But Mary is concerned.
And he talks about that. He has another little joke about, it takes a brave lamb to wander away from the flock. And he keeps sowing these seeds of you should be disenchanted with your situation. You need to get out. You need to leave. Get away from Mary. They're telling you what to do. I just don't like him trying to...
He is feeding her that.
Yes.
Well, Esther then asks Edward to dance. Wait, Esther then asks... Oh, yes, with Miss Hankins.
With Miss Hankins, yes.
And what is this taken from, dear?
It's straight out of Emma, when she asks Knightley to go and dance.
With Harriet. Did anyone else think there was a very close similarity here?
Just like Harriet had sheer joy, you could see Miss Hankins just sheer joy. She was so happy, and it was sweet, you know.
But I couldn't help but watching it and writing down Emma.
Yes, and it was hilarious how he goes, Edward thought that, like you said, Edward thought she was asking him to dance. He goes, no, I'd rather dance barefoot on broken glass.
Yes.
She's hilarious, too.
Oh, I love her.
Her lines.
Lockhart goes and asks Arthur for a nightcap, and Captain Carter asks Fraser to help him woo Allison because he knows she's a woman of refinement.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think she's a woman of refinement.
Dear, you almost made me spit out my hot water.
Sorry. I don't know if I'd go that far to call her a woman of refinement.
Well, anyway,
would anyone call Kitty a woman of refinement?
No, I would not.
I'm telling you, she's a carbon copy.
I would not.
I mean, she does like poetry.
They hatched their little plot here. Will you help me?
Cyrano.
Will you read my voice? And I wrote down Cyrano de Bergerac. All right, so we have novel number 4.
Let's see. Sound of Music, Anne of Green Gables, Cyrano, Pride and Prejudice, we've had before. We have Emma, Sense and Sensibility. What are we on, 6?
Oh dear.
At least?
There's more to come. All right. As she's leaving, Charlotte mentioned Colbourne, and Lennox was like, Colbourne, here we go.
There we go. Here's another
Pride and Prejudice, folks. We've got
Lennox,
the whole thing between Wickham
Lennox
and...
bristles and she goes, oh, do you know him? No, it's please.
I don't know him.
Something's there. It's just like Wickham and
Darcy.
Darcy. Yes, and
you
just know. And he's an officer and everything.
W&D.
So we know something is going to come up about those two. There's got to be some history there.
There's history there. We know that's going to play out just like Pride and Prejudice.
Yes.
Oh well, I'll stick with the oldies and the goodies, I guess. I don't know why change it.
Yes.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's true. All right. Next day, Mary now talking to Georgiana about Lockhart, and it seems he's influenced her enough to say
put
no more
down.
marriage.
Yes, no more suitors. I don't want to go in anymore.
If when I marry, I'll marry on my terms, and so she's putting her foot down.
Yes, and that I think, like you say, is Lockhart's influence.
Yes. Which maybe is a good thing,
well,
right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're trying to take care of her. Yes. They have her best interest at heart.
Yes.
It's like she said, look, you
that.
and your money will be protected if you can find a suitable match, because no one is going to leave you alone. Like Georgiana has said, I'm plagued by all these people, all these suitors that want my money. Everyone wants my money. She's complained about it.
They love her and they are looking out
they're looking
for her.
out for her.
I can't believe I'm drinking out of a mug. This is
disgraceful.
Sacrilege.
Where is your teacup?
I'm supposed to have a teacup.
Where did it go? Speaking of supposed to have something, where did the headshots go of our two leading men? I think I've left them in the van.
Oh dear, we'll have to bring them for the outtake.
Oh, I think I should swoon. I had portraits.
This is too much to swallow, dear.
Look, the brain is flogged by all... flogged.
It's the antibiotics.
The brain is
Pay her
flogged.
no mind. Oh dear, I'm sweating
all
here.
of the medicine.
All right, so
we had portraits of each man that I wanted to show the pictures and show who was coming out ahead. Lennox and Colbourne.
Yes.
I had very handsome shots of both of them.
Well, you tried, dear. It was a good
I'll get them for an outtake.
All right.
Dear.
So, no, Lady D has invited...
This is all very vexing.
She's invited Colonel Lennox to tea to find out his opinion of Edward. Like, let's see if Edward's really changed.
And he brings Edward.
Yeah, that was...
What?
And she said, oh, okay, well, that's kind of ridiculous.
He's singing Edward's... I've got to put that thing down. He's singing Edward's praises. So right there, I'm thinking,
yes.
How could anyone not see through Edward?
Rolling her eyes.
I'm...
She's not having it.
Lennox is sinking lower, in my opinion. If he thinks that Edward is great, there's something wrong with him. He's not too great a judge of character, if you ask me.
They're two peas in a pod, perhaps.
Perhaps.
So they're left alone, right? He's apologizing, and he's like, if you can change, why can't I change?
Yes, if you can change, why can't I?
Right?
Yes.
And we know better.
I mean, you see her kind of go, well, that's true,
what's funny is Lady D kind of swallows it.
She does.
Like, okay, well, give him a chance. Which seems so different from Lady D. I guess she's an old softie at heart.
Well, listen, Colonel Lennox has kind of wooed the entire town at this point.
Right. She thinks if he likes him, maybe he has.
He carries some clout. He's this colonel of the whole regiment. Tom thinks he's the greatest thing. Lady D obviously thinks she wants his opinion. She thinks it matters. So,
Well, back to Charlotte and the sharp-tongued Miss Augusta. She insults her at every turn, right? Talks about how she's condemned to a lonely and loveless life. And
oh, my goodness.
Charlotte says she has known love.
Yes.
Right? And was loved in return, but circumstances conspired against us, and he died.
It's so sad.
So she basically says, we got the short end of the stick.
So she sort of is trying to get closer, which is what Lennox said. You get close to your enemy, and then you can kind of play your cards. So she's trying to open up to Augusta and say, maybe if I can get close to her, she'll open up to me.
Of course, we knew right away that Augusta was playing her, right? When she said, about the pianoforte.
Perhaps we could go and unlock the piano.
Why don't you play a little louder?
Oh, please. She's looking over her shoulder louder. Hook, line, and sinker.
We didn't fall for it, but Charlotte did.
And Charlotte, who we thought was such a great judge of character, she's completely
and once again, she plays a little.
Oh, yes.
Here we have Jane Eyre, right? Doesn't Mr. Rochester has to come in? Do you play a little? You do indeed.
Well,
play
even
a little.
Lizzie, that's true. Yes, that's right. Because you do indeed play a little. Oh, yes, that's right. That's right.
So hot.
Even Lizzie said she played a little.
Yes,
she was all right.
Yes. Yeah. So Colbert comes in. Stop.
Oh, he's furious. You see him just run, and you're like, what is going on? There's some history. Why is the pianoforte locked?
Charlotte instead saves Augusta instead of saving herself.
Yes, which she lies and says it was my fault.
To forming a friendship.
Exactly.
With Augusta.
Exactly.
And then Charlotte says she hasn't.
That's right. So he's mad. He runs and he's mad because she's opened the pianoforte. She's unlocked something that shouldn't have been unlocked. And then meanwhile, as he's confronting her, who runs by but little Leo in ripped breeches and a little hat again, and goes, "Leonore, what are you doing in those breeches? Where's your dress?" She goes, "Miss Hayward said a girl can wear whatever she wants to wear." And just like, oh no.
Sound of music. Again. Maria dresses them in the drapes. Do you mean to tell me my children have been running around in nothing but drapes?
And having a marvelous time.
Oh, we've watched that too many times.
One of the best movies
ever. So anyway, we have more Sound of Music here, right? When she goes in and confronts him.
Yes, so they're alone in his study.
I swear it was almost word for word, I felt like.
I kept expecting him to say, "Oh, yes, you are, Captain." Fräulein. Yes. And she's like, so
and Kurt wants to be loved, but he doesn't. It was the same thing,
Love them, Captain. Please love them.
You don't even look at your children.
They don't have a mother or a father. I have to admit, while I love Miss Rose's acting, this scene seemed a little bit forced. She's like the mother and not the father. Like, it was a little bit, I don't know, it was a little too stiff for me.
A little too stiff for you.
Again, like we said,
you're quite the critic, aren't you, dear?
Well,
maybe you should have tried out.
Well, after the first season, and I have to admit, you'll see later on, she doesn't have that many lines overall, as we say later.
You are quite right.
Like,
I feel like she had 20 lines.
I feel like this was like her biggest speech of the whole entire series.
Yes.
Like I said, we were going to pretend we hadn't seen it all, but it seemed like this was like her biggest speech, and it was a little bit. To me, it fell a little bit flat.
She hardly speaks in the whole thing.
But here's why. To me, my thought is, I felt like it sort of came out of left field
because he
hasn't
exhibited that much meanness. Is that why you're saying that?
Captain Von Trapp came in with a whistle and was calling his children like dogs to the table. And tried to call her with a whistle. Right. And said, they're not allowed to play. No playing. This and that. My children are going to be in the military.
Right.
So I can see why. And he's always gone.
He needed telling off.
The children are completely... He needed telling off, like you say. But Colbourne, I haven't seen him be that mean to the children. I haven't seen him be that neglectful. We haven't had a chance to really see her being justified at such an outburst.
Yes. Well,
to me, it was a little bit harsh. And I didn't feel like he deserved it. Yes. And then he stood there just looking sort of like a lost puppy.
Now, we know he hasn't been perfect, but...
Well, no,
like you said, is he that mean? I don't know.
I felt bad for him because then he looked just like this lost little puppy that had been scolded. And he was like, well, so are you leaving then? And she's like, well, I thought I was to be fired. And he was like, well, no, I want you to come back, basically. And he was like,
poor little
same time, tomorrow, same time. Same bad station, same bad time. I was like, okay.
Yes.
And he was just,
the housekeeper
really desperate.
Said something about... owing a shilling, right?
Yes, he watched her walk away. He watches her quite often. Are you watching me? Yes. What's that from? Our mutual friend. Watching me, Mr. Rhodes Smith.
You pulled that one out of a hat,
yes, I did that one out. Dickens, our mutual friend. Are you watching me, Mr. Rhodes Smith?
Add that to the list.
Anyway, yes, but he watches her every time she leaves. If you noticed, he watched her leave the study. He watches her walk away out his window, and that's when his housekeeper comes and says, "You owe me a shilling."
That was cute.
So that's cute. So sometimes, we do see. I guess it's been a week already. Which to me it looked like it'd only been a day.
Yes. Well,
the passage of time.
Yes, time flies when you're having fun.
The magic of television.
But Charlotte encourages Augusta to form a new life. Augusta comes live for me, and of course we knew that would make them have a bond, right?
Yes.
And then we have the last scene, which left us all breathless, didn't it?
Yes.
Clara is back in town, ladies and gents.
Not only is she back,
looking bedraggled and
pregnant. Sorry, yes, pregnant.
Bum bum bum.
And who is the lucky father? None other but that rascal Edward.
Yes.
And of course we knew that he'd come back to haunt us.
We knew.
In more ways than one. We knew he wasn't reformed. We knew something was going to happen.
We have not seen the last of Clara, right? So things are starting to get juicy, ladies and gents, and we will have to see what transpires next week.
Yes.
But we wish you all a pleasant evening, and we hope that next time we will be even more on the mend. We won't have the cough drops.
And we hope that you will find us on Facebook and follow us on Facebook. Like this video, subscribe to our channel.
And Instagram.
Comment. Yes, we're on Instagram.
We get on there, we do live videos where we talk to all of you. It's a barrel of laughs.
Yes. So please,
like, share, tweet, all of it.
All of the above.
And I'm off to get some more Robitussin and my Vicks Vapor Rub. So, adieu.
Goodbye. From West Side Story, we are sick, 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 we are sick, sick, sick. What is it?
Like
we're sociologically sick, like we're psychologically sick.
The theme of the night is sick. A poison can develop a cold.
Oh my gosh.
So, we're finally back for the first time after not seeing each other for months. I hope you don't give me whatever you've got.
I hope you don't give me whatever you've got. We need our COVID masks back.
Yeah,
that's what we should have done. Jinx. Well, anyhow, I hope that we are sufficiently recovered to be able to speak without coughing.
I've got my cough drop. Got my hot water.
Yes, we do. I love our costumes tonight. I do say so myself.
Do you?
I came up with them all myself, don't you?
I feel like I look like a Mary tonight.
Mary.
She likes brown.
I
need a little pair of spectacles.
Perhaps. Well, it's dark in here, but I shall brighten things up later.
Yes, it is dark. Well, that's because it's so late.
I know, it's late.
All right,
we need to
get
going.
Yes.
The thought just occurred to me. Lockhart. His name. His heart is locked. He's like a closed book. He can't open up.
No,
Lockhart.
I don't like it.
No. It should have been Colbourne. Colbourne. He's like a cold burn, like a slow burn.
You're grasping straws here.
Coals are burning slow. Is it? Okay.
Let's just forget it.
Now,
that's enough outtakes.
Now, we want this episode to be funny. It has to be. They have to see us laugh. They want the jokes.
It's not.
We must give
funny.
them.
The whole series. Charlotte hasn't smiled the entire.
That's true. The only time I've seen her smile is at the very beginning when she was dancing with dear old Ralph.
Oh, there you have it. That's going to make her happy.
Perhaps it will make her happy after all. And there was one random chap she was dancing with at the ball in Sanditon. I don't know who it was, and she was having a rip-roaring good time. It looked like she was very happy.
There you have it. The rest of the time, she's down in the mouth.
It is rather somber. It's a somber season.
It is.
I mean, everyone is sort of trying to move on. And
all right, this cough drop's gone.
I'm going to cut you off.
Why is it so freaking
I don't know.
hot?
As you can see, I was fanning myself the whole entire video.
I'm dripping.
Great. That's my costume. I shall have to wash it.
Sorry. Hey, I wore deodorant. You're lucky.
The all-natural kind?
Yes.
That's no good at all.
It doesn't do squat, does it?